This first section deals with the fool. The Bible, especially Proverbs, has a great deal to say about the fool. This does not refer to the person who is mentally deficient. God is not talking to the person who is simple-minded or who has some mental aberration. The fool that God is talking to is a man who may be brilliant. In fact, he may have his PhD degree. David wrote, "The fool hath said in his heart, there is no God." Psalm 14 verse 1. A fool is a man who, though he may be brilliant, is an atheist. The Hebrew word for fool means insane. The man who says there is no God is an insane man. Intermarriage within a family can sometimes produce very brilliant offspring, but can also produce mental deficiency. In the early days of a church I pastored in Tennessee, one of the pastors had married into the governor's family, where there had been much intermarrying. As a result, there was insanity in the family. The pastor had 2 daughters, and they were brilliant. They were old ladies when I was a young pastor there, living way out in the country, up in the hills of Middle Tennessee. I was holding meetings in that area and they wanted me to come by to see them. I have never met 2 women who were more brilliant than those ladies. They knew all about me, about the church I was serving, about the Bible, literature, music, current events. It was amazing, but there was something odd there. The pastor who went with me had warned me not to be surprised at what I would see. When we went in, we had to shoo the chickens off the chairs so we could sit down, then we had to be rather careful where we sat. While I was sitting there talking to them, a cow stuck her head in from the kitchen door. There was a horse in the bedroom and there were goats all around. I didn't see them, but I sure could tell they were there. The sisters had a mental aberration, you see. Now that is not the kind of thing the Lord means when he calls a person a fool. He means someone who has rejected him. God calls that insanity. As snow in summer and as rain in harvest, so honor is not seemly for a fool. One of the marks of a fool is that he doesn't mind sacrificing his honor. Candidly, he has none. As the bird by wandering, as the swallow by flying, so the curse causeless shall not come. Predictions that certain things will come to pass do not always happen. By the way, we have a lot of so-called prophets in our midst today. They keep telling us what is going to happen in the next few years. Some of it may come to pass, that's true, but they are not getting their information from God, because sometimes they are wrong, and God's prophet is never wrong. A whip for the horse, a bridle for the ass, and a rod for the fool's back. That is a good one. The horse and the ass can be trained. They will respond. The only thing a fool will respond to is real discipline. Answer not a fool according to his folly, lest thou also be like unto him. Answer a fool according to his folly, lest he be wise in his own conceit. When I was a boy, our town atheist enjoyed pointing out contradictions in the Bible. This was one that he used. My friend, there is no contradiction here at all. These 2 proverbs simply set before us 2 possible lines of conduct in response to a fool. I get many letters from many kinds of people. I answer some of the letters, and some of the letters I do not answer. I must make a decision about them. I conclude that some of the letters I get come from fools. If I were to answer such a letter according to its folly, I would make myself a fool. If you lay yourself wide open to a fool, you are a fool yourself. He that sendeth a message by the hand of a fool cutteth off the feet and drinketh damage. You make a mistake if you send a message by the wrong individual. The legs of the lame are not equal, so is a parable in the mouth of fools. I would like to extend this to the interpretation of parables. There are interpretations of parables in the Bible that are taught by some professors which tempt me to say, so is a parable in the mouth of fools. As he that bindeth a stone in a sling, so is he that giveth honor to a fool. Giving honor to a fool is simply giving him ammunition. As a thorn goeth up into the hand of a drunkard, so is a parable in the mouth of fools. A thorny branch in the hand of a drunken man will probably wound him as well as others. The same is true of a fool who has the position of a teacher. He will hurt himself and those who listen. The great God that formed all things both rewardeth the fool and rewardeth transgressors. We can be very sure of the ultimate outcome. God will take care of things and handle all these matters. Here is something rather frightful. As a dog returneth to his vomit, so a fool returneth to his folly. I know of nothing as harsh as that. It is repulsive and sickening even to think of this. This is the viewpoint that Peter presents to us concerning the hypocrite. But it is happened unto them according to the true proverb, The dog is turned to his own vomit again, and the sow that was washed to her wallowing in the mire. Remember that when the prodigal son was in the pig pen, he knew that he was in the wrong place, and he returned to his home. Suppose when he returned home he brought along with him one of the pigs from the pig pen. The little pig would not enjoy the father's house. Eventually, he would go to the pig pen. Eventually, all the hypocrites in the church will be revealed, and there are many who only pretend to be sons of God. There is no question about that. A man told me that the reason he did not join the church was that the church was filled with hypocrites. I said, no one knows that better than I do, but that is no reason why you shouldn't be in the church. You can't hide behind a hypocrite. You should be in there revealing what is genuine. I have talked about hypocrisy in the church before, and I receive letters from folk who don't like me to mention it. But the Bible teaches that there is a security for the believer, and also there is insecurity for the make-believer. It is to the hypocrite that the proverb refers. Seest thou a man wise in his own conceit? There is more hope of a fool than of him. There is something worse than a fool, and that is an egomaniac, one who has a high opinion of himself. Where no wood is, there the fire goeth out, so where there is no talebearer, the strife ceaseth. Bitterness is repeatedly stirred up in certain groups because there are certain ones in there who keep putting a little wood on the fire. If no one were fueling it, the fire would go out, the strife would cease. As coals are to burning coals, and wood to fire, so is a contentious man to kindle strife. There are certain folks who cause strife as soon as they start attending a church or join a church. You will find them in the Lord's work today. They seem to stir things up all the time. They are never really interested in the Word of God, although they may pretend to be. The words of a talebearer are as wounds, and they go down into the innermost parts of the belly. A better translation is, the words of a talebearer are as dainty morsels, and go down into the innermost parts of the belly. People like to hear those choice little bits of gossip. They like to hear them, but they are hard to digest and will finally make them sick. A real child of God does not wish to hear things that are ugly. Now here we have one of the longest and strongest sections against hypocrisy, and it refers to hypocrisy among God's people. Burning lips and a wicked heart are like a potsherd covered with silver dross. He that hateth dissembleth with his lips, and layeth up deceit within him. When he speaketh fair, believe him not, for there are 7 abominations in his heart, whose hatred is covered by deceit. His wickedness shall be showed before the whole congregation. Whoso diggeth a pit shall fall therein, and he that rolleth a stone, it will return upon him. A lying tongue hateth those that are afflicted by it, and a flattering mouth worketh ruin. There are folk who make a profession of faith in Jesus Christ but who are not really God's children. We call them hypocrites because they are pretending to be what they are not. They are phonies. But they should not disturb those inside or outside the church for the very fact that a counterfeit necessitates a genuine and valuable original. No one counterfeits pennies or even $1 bills as far as I know. They do counterfeit $20 bills. They only counterfeit that which is valuable. So we should not be surprised to see counterfeit Christians. This cluster of Proverbs describes the phony and warns against him. He is the man who is two-faced. He will flatter you, yet in his heart he will hate you. It was Tacitus who made the statement, "It is common for men to hate those whom they have injured." Dr. Ironside puts it like this: conscious of having wronged another and being determined not to confess it, the dissembler will store his heart with hatred against the object of his wrongdoing. To hide his wretched feelings, such a one will flatter with his lips while all the time he is plotting the ruin of his victim. An example of flattery and hypocrisy in the Bible is Haman. Remember how he flattered? This man plotted to destroy an entire people, including the queen upon the throne. He was an evil man. He flattered the king, and yet it was obvious that he was planning to overthrow the king. Hypocrisy is found in Christian circles, and we need to recognize it. There is no use covering over this. There is probably no place in the world where there is so much cover-up as in the church. We try to act as if there were no wrong there. We think that if we ignore it, it will go away. We feel defeated if anyone mentions the fact that there is hypocrisy. We feel that we in ourselves are defeated if we acknowledge that, even in our hearts, there is this root of bitterness sometimes. Christians need to face up to these sins, and the Proverbs are good at making us face up to them.